Good morning and thank you for staying with KTN. This is Morning Express. In the next hour, we're looking at how we in the fourth estate, the media, has been covering some of the big stories you've either been reading about, listening to, or watching on television. So do stay with us in the next hour. The panel will be here for the newsroom. But now, an important interview. Joining me in the studio is Peter Mangiti. He's a permanent secretary in the Devolution and Planning Ministry that has been on the spotlight past couple of days of allegations of graft. PS, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Sofia.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
So let's begin with really what caused a lot of outrage. You appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, and there was this asset register that you submitted to them, and there were a lot of questions, of course, that emerged from that, and then you retracted it. You said it was by mistake that you had tabled it. How did that happen?
Thank you very much, Sophia. I want to, first of all, begin by clarifying that when we appeared in front of before the PSC, we had a document, almost like 300-page document, and the matter of the asset register was an Annex 5 out of 15 to 16 annexes. So it was part of supporting documentation for the responses that we put before the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
Earlier on, of course, before as we were preparing to go to PSC, that was about 3-4 weeks before, I had gone through the document with my team and given my input and directive on particularly that annex. Unfortunately, when this was being dispatched, a document that was actually the base working list found itself in the main document. So, for the moment, I am treating it as perhaps a mix-up, but I cannot rule out any other thing that may have happened.
Right.
That's why I have talked with my team and demanded answers as to what, how the mix-up came to be.
All right, so let's be clear. So you're saying you've noticed there were errors with that particular document 3 weeks before as you were preparing for this?
Yeah, that particular annex, yes. Among 15, 16 annexes. It's a big document.
All right.
Yes. So
did you then, before appearing before PSC, since you'd noticed there were errors, then check whether those errors had been rectified?
Yes. We went through again, and we looked at the format in which now the team had put it, and it was the correct format, and it was corresponding to the accounting document.
So then how did it make it to that the PSC sitting? Because if you went through it again, you saw everything was okay, so then you didn't catch that error, is what you're saying?
Yeah, what happened was that there could have been a mix-up, because you see, when the team was working on the document, let me explain the process of extracting the register from all the documents, the procurement and payment documents. In IFMIS has details about payments for services, goods that have been supplied to the ministry and other services and goods that have been supplied to the ministry. So it normally doesn't have full details by virtue of the way the items are described at payment point. So what happens is that there is an extraction of the list from IFMIS, and then there is the manual process where you have now checking against the payment documents.
So that is understandable.
Yeah,
and I imagine it's a big document.
It's a big document.
So I'm thinking in institutions, say for example, it's this Standard newspaper. You say 3 weeks ago you've noticed, for example, page 15 has a problem. So despite it being such a complex process, before then you went to this committee of public accounts, why didn't you check to see on page 15?
We checked.
You checked and didn't see anything wrong?
We checked the entire document. We checked the entire document. You see, when it comes as one document, okay, before it is again put together. We checked.
So you checked but didn't see those errors?
There were no errors
but they showed up when you went.
They showed up when we.
So how did that happen? That's the difficulty.
That is why I am saying I have asked my team to give me answers as to exactly what could have happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
So ask them, just call them in a meeting, said give me answers, or how is it you're going about to ensure?
No. I have formally demanded for answers from the team that is responsible for putting that document together. And within the week or so, I will be able to know exactly what could have happened.
So it's a team within. What if they will be trying to cover up? Wouldn't it be better to have other people come look into it?
For the moment, it's an administrative process.
Okay.
So if there is any indication that there could have been, deliberate mix-up, then of course we will take now the next steps. Yeah.
So when you were there at the sitting and you realized there's something amiss, you then retracted and said, this is a mistake, this shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I pointed out to the members of PAC that this document, this particular annex, because I realized when I had reached that point where and the answer or the response that was being supported by that particular annex that contains the list of assets, the assets register. And of course, I explained that here this is a list that is not, it has errors. And I would like to get time to go back, get back, and bring back a complete document together with all the supporting documentations, including the payment vouchers, because these are things that you cannot perhaps say that I am going to rectify them, because they have already been entered into the system. So it's a matter of ensuring that the list, as it were, meets the format that is prescribed by the International Accounting Standards. Secondly, that the quantities that are not in that list, because as I told you, it is a mix, but developing that list is a process that is both comes from the background of manual and also from the
it's a mix-up that, in a sense, that these are things that really are there, but it's just placed in the wrong place, or they don't exist.
No. That the things are there, they are placed.
So there's a big TV.
Let me just say that. They may be placed in the wrong place, or the entry, particularly with regard to their quantities, was not correct because they were not corresponding to what was in the payment document, the payment vouchers.
So you retracted and said it was a mistake to the committee.
Yes,
and
the committee
the other day
that
you came out to the public to the same.
Exactly.
The ministry and the country in general has been, on the spotlight on this particular issue, and even international ridicule in terms of corruption and some of the things that were on that list. Why didn't you deem it then to, after that, call that press conference and clarify and say, oh, by the way, this is not correct, so that then everybody doesn't run with it as fact?
Considering the circumstances under which this happened, I wanted to be absolutely sure that what I am going to clarify out there is correct. So
are you not sure that you told the members of the Public Accounts Committee that this is not correct?
So there are two things. You see, when a mix-up like that happens, I want to personally ensure that even with the list that I had said is okay, I want to double sure that this is the correct position. And I have it together. We worked the entire weekend looking at the payment documents against those list to each and every item. I know there are more than 200, almost 300 items. To ensure that each and every one of them corresponds with the documents, the money documents that that were used to pay those services and goods. Secondly, we also found out that from that raw list, and I want to tell you that what found its way into the document was actually the raw list explain.
Has this happened before? I mean, you've been in the public service for a long time. Have you had a situation where you have gone to a public accounts committee or any other and have documents mixed up? Because I imagine the preparation that has to go into this, it has to be rather thorough.
It is thorough.
Yes.
But mistakes do happen. And it's not a time that happens. Because you are dealing with huge documents.
It has happened with you in office before?
No, it hasn't happened with me in office before, but I have witnessed even where I was in the Ministry of Water Delegation that sometimes they are mixed up, and we explain ourselves, and the most important thing is that we are able to explain and back it up with the documentation from which this list was extracted.
What do you tell those people who say you're trying to set up Cabinet Secretary Anwar Goro?
Well,
paint a bright light to have hand up. There are people who are saying that. All kinds of things are in the public.
Sophia, I am the accounting officer.
Yes.
I have a career to protect. I've been in government for the last 29 years. At this time, I do not think I would want to destroy somebody by destroying myself. It's not possible. I mean, really, it doesn't make much sense to do that. Yeah. This was, from where I stand, this was a case that could have been an error.
Or could it be a conspiracy?
I can't rule out that, and that's why I have asked for answers from my team.
All right.
Yeah.
And the Cabinet Secretary also said that all of these questions, the backstops in terms of money and its usage, expenditure, with the permanent secretary, and that is yourself. And one of the questions I was just reading my Twitter, let me just get to it. One of the gentlemen here is asking, do you feel that when the Cabinet Secretary said that Roy Gitahi says, as the accounting officer, the CS put the blame on him, does he feel his boss threw him under the bus?
I do not think so, because the CS was setting a fact. I'm the accounting officer. I do not think, she is trying to throw me under the bus or whatever, people might think. People have different opinions. But when you work in an organization, we work as a team. And I don't believe, I have no reason to believe that the CS is deliberately trying to throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
She would be merely stating a fact. I'm the accounting officer.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are people then who, because of this, the heat has increased and calls for her to step aside. So because then you say you are indeed the accounting officer, the buck does stop with you in terms of expenditure. Have you considered then to say, let me step aside, because questions are being asked on where my responsibility falls, and then when all these issues are cleared, I will get back. Have you considered that?
For me, I would like to be guided by my conscience, and I have said that before. But we work with systems, and sometimes you find that systems fail, or there are weaknesses in systems. You do not run away, when there are weaknesses in the system to fix. I will be guided by my conscience. If I feel, if my conscience tells me that there is something that you, as the accounting officer, have done wrong, then that is the time I will take a decision. I'll make a decision.
There is
but
a
for now,
yes.
But for now, we are talking about the latest thing that happened was a mix-up, and we have come forward to clarify. PSC.
It took a week to really clarify.
Yeah, it took a week, and I've explained why it took a week.
Okay.
In a situation like that, you do not want to take chances and then bring out again. We took out over 300 vouchers. I don't know, Sophia, if you can picture that.
300.
Over 300 vouchers.
So many.
And going through each and every one of them and confirming the numbers, confirming the descriptions, confirming that there were deliveries that were made, confirming that the inspections were taken, were undertaken, and acceptance of these goods and services.
So let me put it to you.
It's something that we felt that we had to do, so that when we come out, it's not another case of these things are not adding up.
So you say you work as a team
yes.
at the Ministry of Devolution.
Yeah.
Here is your CS coming under fire because of things you have said fall under your purview.
Yes.
And you're talking about conscience is what will determine whether you step aside or otherwise. But in this particular case, when you have said all these things, do you then not agree that there are those looking at this who think to themselves, if in fact this is a team, these issues fall under your purview, that you say buck stops with no responsibility, wouldn't it be right for you then to say, let me step aside? Your conscience is one thing. Then there is the interest of the ministry and the country, and what Kenyans want to feel that there are more people who are involved or in the system than when all these investigations are going on are still part of the system.
Well, in my view, and I will repeat this again, I am not aware of any wrongdoing that is attributed to me in this particular case. So I look at it from the point of view that, yes, we work with systems. It's not a one-man show. Yeah, I have systems that will help me to deliver on my mandate. And if there are weaknesses in the system, I do not say, well, this system is not working, so let me just take off. So for me,
the cabinet secretary should step aside just so that, I mean, many people have said she should.
You have heard. You see, in my view, and I keep saying this, I believe she's also guided by her conscience. We are trying to do a good job of cleaning up certain weak areas. So I do not think personally that she should step aside.
All right. Yeah. 791 million shillings, however, has been lost. That's admitted under your watch. Yes. And you've just said nothing has gone wrong under your watch. That is something that has gone wrong. Isn't that sufficient ground then for you?
Something has gone wrong.
Yes.
And that is obvious. Yeah. But there are investigations going on at this moment in time to determine exactly what could have happened. And there are also, like I said, there are systems. It's not, that it is magical that when you are appointed a cabinet secretary or a principal secretary, you must be like possessing some supernatural powers that will enable you to
talk about this system. Because systems will not take this money by themselves. It will be individuals. You are the accounting officer. 791 million shillings is missing, was stolen. What happened? What do you tell Kenyans?
For now, as I have said, the investigations are going on. I cannot say this is what happened and this is not what happened. And this is something that is in the hands of competent authorities, and they are going on with their work. Do you feel you failed Kenyans? This is a lot of money. Do you feel as an accounting officer? A loss. A loss of public funds is a regrettable thing. So, for me, whether it is $1 billion shillings or even 1 shilling, is a regrettable thing. But as I've said, we have looked at the systems that we are working with, and perhaps the public does not know because we don't come out and say, today we have done this, today we have done that. We are moving to clean those systems. And if there are weaknesses, they are being fixed. And
how are they being fixed? Because right now, sir, with all due respect, someone watching this will say, you're talking about there are weaknesses, systems, but it's people that operate these systems. At the end of the day, there needs to be a sense of responsibility being taken. Yes, you say investigations are going on, but you maintain you do not feel, even when there's this money that has gotten lost, there's investigations over this and this matter, as the accounting officer, your conscience still says...
Yeah, my conscience is very clear on this matter. I want to reiterate that.
All right. Yeah. There's somebody here called Mangiti who's saying, is PS Mangiti working with the opposition to bring down the CS goal?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because I am a Kenyan. I was given a job to do. So I do not see how I become an opposition person when I am working in government. We are all Kenyans.
Yeah.
And of course people are entitled to their own opinions. But as I said, for me, I am steadfast in delivering my responsibility as was given by the President.
Right. One of the stories yesterday, the CS appeared before the EACC. They're going to be a state witness. He's on the front page of the Standard in theft of millions, and the report goes on to say that since she's not an accused or otherwise, she'll be a witness against state officers. What do you think about that? That when it comes to it, you're the accounting officer, this money is missing, 791 million, there's there are more investigations going on. She might be a witness against you if, this is anything to go by. What do you make of that?
Well, if investigations come out and prove that I have anything to do with it, I will take responsibility.
Yeah.
I will take responsibility. But as to what the headline says, I really can't really comment and say yes or no, or it's like this and that. I mean, you understand. Yeah.
You say you don't know what happened in terms of the 791 million shillings. When the investigators, you sit down with them and they're asking about this, is that the same thing you say, that you don't know what happened?
No, I gave my account of what I know to the investigators, and it is in their purview, in their know.
Yeah. Ethan is asking, it is hard to believe that the PS does not see that he should step aside to make this go away. Kimway as well says this PS should stay put. Investigations are ongoing, he is a good man. Nunu says, if CS gives evidence against him, will he then feel that trust of a team, as he calls it, has been broken? To respond to that.
I think for me the bottom line is I do not expect that the CS has credible evidence about my culpability that she should cover it up. So it's not about teamwork, it's not really, it's about coming out and saying the truth. Yeah. So for me, I will not hide behind teamwork. Yeah. When it is proven that perhaps I have anything to do with it. Yeah.
So back to that list before I come to the question of the devolution ministry as it stands. Everything in there, was there anything that is correct? Because there's many people asking, so were there those sex toys that the list talked about? So is there that TV? Well, yes. All those items.
Is it
not?
Let me clarify that. All that list came from, extracted from IFMIS.
Yeah.
So essentially, each of those items were procured. What was the problem with the way the list was the format of the list, and also some missing details that could have rendered certain items that are in there subject to varied interpretations.
Yeah.
That to me is the key issue. Is the key issue. So, for instance, the case of what is being called a TV, it is not a TV. It is an integrated PC display system, which I think perhaps even in the media circles maybe it's used. You use that, and it is not in the CS's office. It is installed in the ministry's boardroom for use by the entire staff of the Ministry of National Planning during meetings or presentations and things like that. So you see, when somebody just reads a line and say PC/display system, I try to explain on that day to the members of PSC. And perhaps there wasn't enough time for keen listening to get my clarification on this matter. And these are things that are there. You could walk into a boardroom and have a look at it. Items for demonstration that are used by our AIDS control HIV/AIDS control units in the ministry. So there aren't sex toys that were bought for any particular person's use, and they are not in large quantities. Each of those for demonstration, each of the one piece each. And then there were also the dispensers. So this is really their use. And that target of HIV and AIDS prevention in the workplace is there in our performance contract for the year.
Okay.
So it was the items that were bought were specifically for use by the HIV AIDS mainstreaming team, prevention team.
All right.
Yeah.
The Demolition and Planning Ministry is one that gets huge allocations in terms of budget, and so it's big money here. So in as far as entrepreneurs are concerned, as they've come to be called, people are always pushing and pulling for tenders, a deal here and a deal there. Do you find it a challenge from where you sit, with many people coming to you, because everyone wants to get a piece of the pie, some through unscrupulous backdoor ways? Is that a challenge you'd say you face in that ministry?
Yeah, for a ministry that has such a huge mandate, and also going with it huge procurements, of course that is a challenge, because people out there, business people want to get business, and it is a challenge, even in terms of processing those tenders, processing the procurements is a huge challenge, and you realize that over a year we have to accomplish so much. So obviously, yes, there is a challenge in that.
How do you ensure you don't succumb to the pressures of this kind of business?
We ensure that we follow the procurement law, and I will want to tell you, in fact, the thing that I want to confirm here including the process of procurement all the way up to payment. So that is something that, you see, can prove that we endeavor.
It's too heavy, it has so much in it that perhaps it should be divided, there should be a separation of some of these things. What do you think about that?
But that is really not for me to decide.
What do you think? Do you feel it's one too heavy for one ministry?
We don't think so. I think, and we have done our best. The record is out there in terms of what we have achieved as a ministry over a very short period of time.
All right.
Yeah.
The NYS, there are a few challenges and a few people I'm seeing asking several questions about it. There have been issues of lack of payment in different areas. What's going on there?
For the NYS and indeed the ministry, we are not isolated from cash flows challenges that may be there. So yes, there have been delays, but we are addressing those delays. And also what we did, perhaps the public might not know that given what was going on around at that time, when we carried over a huge amount of pending bills from the last financial year, we decided to re-audit those payments entirely, and they were huge. Like for NYS, it's over 5 billion shillings. We decided to re-audit, and that audit is, as we speak now, is complete, just to satisfy ourselves that these payments are indeed not among those that may have fallen through the cracks, either due to human hand, like what we have been going through in the loss of the 791. So that has taken a little bit of time, but this is something we are addressing, and the good thing is that we communicate with the business people regularly to update them on where we are. Yeah.
There's one final question before we wind up, but somebody here is asking, who takes responsibility, and that is a Tiemoki prop, who takes responsibility of a weak system? Because you've talked about systems and all that, so who takes responsibility?
We run the systems, and we take responsibility when systems are weak, and that is why we regularly, through the internal audit mechanism and even through the Kenya National Audit Mechanism, review those systems and take measures when we think that there is a risk. Recently, you must have heard that EACC gave us a report over, corruption risk assessment. And that was a very huge help to help us identify which areas we need to work on. And I want to clarify here that this exercise was carried out by EACC at the request of the ministry, at the request of the cabinet secretary, way back in June last year.
Okay.
So these are the things that we do. Yeah. We take definite steps to strengthen our systems.
Do you feel any responsibility, the things that CS Wago has been going through, all the attention and the spotlight on high as far as matters attached on your mandate? Do you feel any sense of responsibility for what?
As a team, we all feel responsible that perhaps we need to deal with these issues. We all feel responsible because each of us in the entire ministry, each play different roles to deliver on that common mandate. So we all feel, and that is why you find whenever issues like this arise, we do not sweep them under the carpet. We talk about them and we take steps. Mistakes do happen, like the one of last week, and we have come forward and said, yes, I think there is a problem, and we're moving to rectify it. When we are confident that we can communicate with the public, we will do so, and that's actually what informed what we did on Monday.
All right, so finally mistakes have happened that you're seeking and looking to clarify and rectify, but also 791 million shillings of Kenyans' money is lost. So I want you to look into that camera, this camera one, the one over here. This one, it's your camera, and talk to Kenyans. Tell them, what is it you want? At this particular point, corruption is a big problem. All we keep hearing is scandal after the other, this one trying to cover up for this one, systems not working, and at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money. So what do you tell them? Is it another scandal in the making that we'll see, or as a person that's charged with making sure that money is prudently spent?
For me, I want to assure Kenyans that we will continue to be diligent to ensure that our systems work, and where there are weaknesses, we fix them. On matters that have already taken place, I think due process will be followed, and we await, what the competent authorities will, find, and the due process of the law will take its course.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate PS Peter Mangiti of the Devolution and Planning Ministry with us this morning. We appreciate you taking time to be with us, and we'll definitely be following up on those stories to see how they develop in coming days, because that is definitely not the last we have heard of them, as investigations are ongoing, and so we will continue to follow them here at KTN. We always want to stay with us for the latest on all the stories as they happen. You'll get the details here first. I am Sofia Wanuna. We're taking a short break. When we return, the newsroom, the panel is here, and we're looking at how we in the force of state have been covering some of these key stories, including this particular one. Have we been objective? Have we given perspective in this matter? Stay with KTN.